the ones living in Nigeria, and of course, even those of us that are not living in Nigeria. Oh, I just said us. All right. Okay. All right. Even for Nigerians that are not living in Nigeria, in one way or the other, we're still concerned about our great country, Nigeria, because there is no place like home. And of course, we have to talk about what is happening. We have to know what is happening because, in one way or the other, these policies, these decisions our leaders are making, they're still coming back to us. We are going to be at the receiving end. We've always been at the receiving end. And maybe when they come out of office, maybe they'll be at the receiving end too. But for now, we are here and we've always been here. That is why we have the ultimate newspaper review show right here at Akidibo 88.7 FM for us to discuss what is going on in the country, to let us know what is going on in the country as Nigerians, as great citizens of this country. My name is Wuraola Yusuff, and of course, I'm in the studio with a maestro this morning who will be helping us in analyzing, explaining, and also letting us know how the stories, how they do affect and concern us. Most especially talking about our history, because history does a lot when we're talking about what is happening in the present. Our history will always point us to something, saying, okay, maybe this has happened, maybe this wanted to happen in the past, and this is how to go about it, or this is how we went about it. Right on the front page of the daily newspapers this morning, as we always have it, before we talk about the analysis, I have this morning a couple of newspapers, and I'll be starting from the Daily Trust newspaper, where we have this story saying state government race to conduct local government polls after Supreme Court ruling. Another one says a Kano governor signs a bill creating a 3 second-class emirates. Zamfara attack, 5 women escape as 5 men killed by bandits buried. Yeah, so rest in peace. Page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper says domestic fares trump a regional ticket. To write us that story, one says the Lagos Abuja flight cost 250,000 naira, but 233,000 naira to Accra. In case you didn't get that, Lagos to Abuja flight cost 250,000 naira, but 233,000 naira to Accra. Shortage of aircraft hits industry. Another writer to that story says how to stop racketeering. That one is coming from an operator. The details to that story is on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. 14 dead in Jigawa road crash. That is also a sad news that we do not operate to see often on the front pages or even in the newspaper. And moving on, PDP governors meet in Enugu to discuss NWC Rivers issue. And another story says Rwanda's Kagame wins a 4th term with 99% of votes. Wow. Tinubu launches inaugural shipment to Egypt, Kenya, others. Right now, moving on to the Vanguard newspaper this morning on page 5, we have the story saying federal government's policies are crippling businesses. NECA, MAN, Nasima. A couple of writers to that. Nasima, Foster from the NECA, says NECA lists 6 major problem areas. Another one says NLC threatens to short Nigeria for 30 days over National Assembly's move to deregulate minimum wage. 6 NECA's partnership to end slave wage in court. Right on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper, IMF downgrades Nigeria's economic growth forecast to 3.1%. On page 4, Tinubu orders CDS to end oil theft. On page 8, Sunday Igboho to armed herders. Leave Southwest now. And moving on to the Punch newspaper this morning on page 2 on the issue of the local government autonomy. 13 states rush to hold council polls. Page 2 has a story Two writers to that one. The first one says Bauchi fixes a local government poll for August 19. Kogi elections held October 19. Jigawa, Imo, Anambra, Abia, Katsina, Kebbi, Benue set for exercise. On the issue of minimum wage right here on page 17, Labour threatens a 30-day strike, alleges plan to decentralize talks. Page 17 has the details to that story. Federal government warns 22 states of 5-day massive flooding. Page 28 of the Punch newspaper has the details to that story. On page 7, NNPCL meets military police to curb oil theft. On page 25 of the Punch newspaper today, one killed, journalist shot in Kenya, fresh protest. Yes, that one is still going on. On the issue of food security, still on page 25, reps invite CDS and minister over on governed spaces. Page 25. Court declines Emefiele's request for foreign medical trip. Page 7. U.S. promises timely delivery of attack helicopters to Nigeria. That one is on page 25 of the Punch newspaper today. Moving on to the Nation newspaper, where we have the stories just like the ones we've been reading concerning the security of this great nation, also talking about NNPCL and oil theft. Right now, we have another story singing military land nationwide for cultivation to grow food items. Military land nationwide for cultivation to grow food items. Page 6 of the Nation newspaper. On page 5, Rivers lawmaker crisis rages on overstate fund. Page 5. Adele case phone line hacked. Page 27. That is the governor of Osun State. 103 died in 3,623 cholera cases, says NCDC. Page 25 of the Nation newspaper has the details to that story. And on page 6, we have this news, more like a clarification coming from the federal government saying no plan to sell off varsities to private investors. That one is coming from federal government. These stories, alongside others, are what has been happening since yesterday up till this moment. And of course, I have Maestro in the studio to help us with his in-depth and unbiased analysis of the stories. I mean, talking about our present, our past, and our future. Good morning, Maestro. You're welcome to the studio.
Good morning. It's my pleasure.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, Maestro, there is hike in transport fare. You may not know, we the citizens, grassroots citizens of Nigeria, we do know there is hike in transport fare, and there is no other reason to this other than the fact that there is hike in petrol price. When you get to filling stations right now, you meet queues, and also the prices have been hiked. What is going on again? Well, all yesterday, and I think for some other days, we've also been talking about food, the hike in food price, and the things, and people complaining of hunger, that there is a hunger in the land. Also, we mentioned the fact that maybe rumor or not, we were seeing news concerning protests in Nigeria, saying people want to protest against hunger, against hardship in this country. And I would like you to just help me touch upon that, relating it to the protest in Kenya, because yesterday again, one person was killed and another journalist was shot, because all they were saying is, Mr. President, just go. All these things you're doing, removing your ministers, we do not want that. Just leave. We want you to leave. And we know some things contributed to this before citizens can come up to say, enough is enough. We do not want you in office again. You should go. Maestro.
The situation of Kenya, is Kenyan business. I don't know so much about what's going on in that place. That one is not totally ignorant of what's going on there anyway.
Yeah.
They've expressed a lot of their grievances in the papers, so they're handling it according to their own practices in Kenya, how Kenya formed and so on and so forth. So you have, there are a lot of things that you could look at. But I think we should simply just set Kenya aside for now and face our own business.
Amen.
It is expected that, it's quite expected that transportation cost will rise. The key point is, if you have hike in pump price, there's no way that transportation will. In fact, it's not just transportation; it's everything, because we all use fuel in our day-to-day activities. All of us use fuel, and if you get there, what you were selling for 100 naira before, you get to the filling station, it's gone up. You're going to put it on what you're selling. That's what is going on, and that is why, these administrations in and out, coming in, going out, they need to be extra sensitive about fuel. That's why you need to be really sensitive about fuel, because anything that happens to fuel is going to affect everybody in the nation. I don't agree with you that I don't, know or feel what's going on, because
the hike in transport fare.
I'm not even at that level that I will not feel it immediately it happens. I wish I were, but the truth is I'm not. So as soon as it happens, I feel it, and so we have to deal with this. Unfortunately, people like me are dragged into this, little pieces of developments. Maybe there are pleasant developments, which is very, very rare, or very ugly developments like this, which is frequent. So, and I'm saying I'm dragged into this thing to be talking about it almost every day, because the leadership, plays deaf and dumb in this country. And I'm not talking about just this administration alone. I'm talking about the political class, as a group of leaders.
As a whole.
The problem is, these things are relatively easily solved. Imagine if we ran our country right along the old model, and we're having petrol crisis. It's not going to hit us as bad as this, because in almost every country they have petrol crisis. I've been hearing about petrol crisis since, I gained consciousness. Look, in the United States, there are times, there had been times you saw long queues like this. In the US,
but not frequently.
It's not frequent. And then when it happens, it does not hit, it hits differently. Why? Because most other aspects of their life, of governance, they got right. You cannot but have constant crisis if you insist on this kind of structure. Anybody who's telling you stories about, it could have been done fantastically, if it's a lie. You have to have a foundation that you put something on. If you don't have that foundation, or you have an ugly foundation, then it's not going to work. So all this, today we are going to talk about petroleum. Tomorrow we are going to talk about education. Day after we will talk about infrastructure. But then we talk about insecurity and everything. All these problems, they are gaining potency because we're running the wrong kind of structure. So people like me are expected to come every day. Today we talk about petroleum. Tomorrow we talk about insecurity. Day after we talk about this. The day after we talk about another one. We talk about corruption. We talk. How do you, as intelligent people, not see clearly that this is wrong? And then we simply appear to be enjoying the suffering. So when people now say, okay, let's protest, where is your inspiration coming from? Your inspiration is coming from Kenya. Okay, fine. If you gained inspiration from Kenya, so who are the people running this thing? And I've said it, to delve into this protest thing that you mentioned. There is no protest in this life that is spontaneous.
It is planned.
That just happens like that. But there are gullible people around who think, oh, this is our, uprising. It's not. And very recently, I saw one, clip on the social media where Hyundai was saying even the last NSAS, people cashed out.
Yeah, I saw the video.
Cashed out heavily. He was talking about millions of dollars.
From a protest that is supposed to be about the concerns of people.
Yes. And that's how dire the situation is. That's how dark the inside of protests are. In this country, look, how did I become so disenchanted about protests in Nigeria? The NLC will call strikes after, we saw all the June 12th crisis struggle and everything, where the people who were leading the protests came out, right, and said, these are our conditions. They sat down. It was military regime. This, were they not afraid? Of course, they were afraid, but they got to a point where they conquered their fears. And they stood in front of the world and said, 1, we will get this mandate back. 2, military, go back to your barracks. And it was clear. So for me, what did I see? Right? 1, I saw people who were leading. There was no anonymity. 2, I had at least 2 demands they were making. 3, I was following the game plan, and I could make up my mind whether I wanted to be part of that or not, where I wanted to be.
So then it was organized.
It was, you saw who was, and everything. So now, who are you talking to today?
Before we delve into the comparison between then and now concerning protest and the lay down, okay, this is what we want, this is how we want it. Let's go pay some bills. When we're back, we'll continue the conversation.
Akitibo 88.7 FM.
My baby is 6 months old. Oh my! 6 months old? Wow! Now your baby needs more than breast milk. It's time to introduce mashed meals. In addition to breast milk, begin to give your baby mashed meals that contain at least one item from each of these 5 food groups: eggs, fish or meat, fruits and vegetables, oils, beans, groundnuts, soya or millet, rice, potato, maize or yam. From 6 months. In addition to breast milk, your baby needs this combination of food types to grow healthy. This message is from the ANRIN Project, or your State Ministry of Health.
Fellow Nigerians, mummies, daddies, and children, please listen. It's no longer news that there's cholera outbreak, but don't worry. Cholera is highly preventable with good hygiene practice in the home. Ensure you disinfect your floors, clothes, and surfaces with Hypo bleach. And always remember to care for your toilets with Hypo toilet cleaner. This way, you'll protect your family and stop the spread of cholera.
Is here. Congratulations!
Do not waste time. Put your baby to breast within the first 1 hour of delivery to give that first yellowish milk colostrum. Colostrum has all the important nutrients your baby needs to start a healthy life. Colostrum also helps to protect your baby against diseases. Remember, put your baby to breast within the first 1 hour of delivery. This message is from the ANRIN Project, or your State Ministry of Health.
My son, help me check this phone. I no know wetin Junior press. E no dey work again.
Make I see. Ah, mommy,
Wetin happen?
they don't block your line now.
Nobody like to chop blocking, no. So if they don't block you unto say you not link your NIN to your Airtel line, run kitty go any Airtel shop with your NIN to unblock your line today.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Ó yá gbà ọmọ mi ọ̀wọ́n.
Mami, ẹ fi mílìkì sí mi.
Kò di dandan ìwọ tó àwòrán.
Báwo lẹ ṣe ṣe?
Ǹjẹ́ mílìkì náà ẹ péye?
Ní gidi gan.
Ṣé ọ̀rá wàrà náà ṣọ̀tọ̀?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Mílò 3-in-1 milky and creamy nìyẹn o. Mílìkì náà ẹ péye. Mi ò nílò láti ṣàfikún mílìkì sí.
Mo nífẹ̀ẹ́ rẹ̀ màámi.
Fún àwọn ọmọ rẹ ní Milo 3-in-1 milky àti creamy tuntun, mílìkì náà péye, ó kún fún káṣíọ̀mù láti ràn àwọn ọmọ rẹ lọ́wọ́ láti yege lójoojúmọ́. Milo, agbára láti tẹ̀síwájú.
Milo.
Akitibo 88.7 FM.
All right, we're back, and of course, this is still the dailies right here at Agidigbo 887. Do not forget that you can still join us on our Facebook page at Agidigbo 887 FM, where you get to watch us live as you are also listening to us. Maestro, before we went on that break, we were trying to talk about protests and trying to differentiate between what protest was then and what it is now, because we're not going to lie. I think the Kenya protest, whether it seems far or not, people are talking about it. Nigerians are talking about it.
It doesn't really matter to me what you are talking about. My reality is very firm. And my reality is born of my history. You know, what I witnessed, what people did here, the evolution. Look, if you are talking about Kenyan protests and you have no clue where Kenya was coming from, Kenyans, their forebears fought Mau War against the British. They bled. We here, we did war of attrition. We love enjoyment, Nigerians. You know, it's always jolly. Okay, let's even set that aside. What I was saying before was, I want to see who the leader is. Because you have this kind of leader on the right, where we're in problem. In daytime, in real time. Now you're saying you're hiding somewhere to lead protests. I'm not going to follow you blindly because you could post a few things on the social media. That's number one. If you are not going to be able to show your face, like the Ghanaian means of this, look, we are the ones who protest in this country, in this place, on this soil. We are the protesters. And people who are just, latching on to protest ideas because the Kenyans, protested and so on, they don't interest me. You have to be real. You cannot be conning me on the political field and then you come and con me again, on the protest field. I'm not into that, and I believe I have average intelligence to be able to determine what I want to do or what I don't want to do. And I'm not saying anybody should not protest. I think it's the natural rights of people. But you want to look before you leap. And what I'm saying is, all the people who protested here, we knew them. We knew the honest leaders of our protests. Right from when we became conscious. And we have been seeing protests upon protests. We participated in protests in this place. And I tell people, if you are going to hide somewhere, I'm not interested. If you are going to be saying the president must resign, I'm not interested in that kind of bull. Because it is bull. We had an election. Okay, it's clear. And in that election, we had the president emerge, we had state governors emerge, we had legislators emerge, we had everywhere, everybody emerged. So you now wake up one day and say the president must resign. And I'm going to follow you for that kind. You have to go back to your state and tell your state governor to resign now.
First, before you come to the president.
You have to tell your legislators to resign. That's where you start from before you get to the president. Because those ones are easier targets if you are serious. They don't have troops. The president has troops. He is the commander-in-chief. He could say no. The others can't say no. They don't have troops. And you cannot start from your local government. You can't start from your state, your village. You want to start from the nation. Say, oh yeah, president resign. It doesn't make any sense to me if that's your game plan. But if, for instance, you come together and say, let's have a serious protest. Let's pull all our energies in this country behind restructuring the country. I'll be the first one on the street. I will get there. So long as I see your face and you see mine.
I know you're here.
That, okay, we are the ones who are taking risks. We might be hit by canisters, gas. We might be hit by even bullet. Anything might happen. We know that, but we have offered ourselves to be in front, and then we can now organize, protect the people behind us, because that's leadership. So you have to be a serious person. I have to be able to determine that before I follow you to go and do any silly protest. I can't just go on a limb and say, town is hot, I want to protest. I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. And it never works because people who are hiding their faces from you and just putting flyers on the internet, they are going to make money over your head. And it's not cheap, it's not small money. And at the end of the day, there's no game plan for this protest. At the end of the day, there is no end game. Because you have to have all these things. And if you don't have them, it's not a protest. Maybe you want to do jaye and then call, like they did before, call the entertainers and be singing and be dancing and be eating jollof rice, which is fine if you want to do that. And you do it peacefully and you go home. But you have to do it within reason. And so far, I don't see any reason anywhere.
So you're saying the initiation and also how protest is being done now from the way it used to be before.
It's Yahoo protest.
Some people are just behind it for one reason or the other.
It's Yahoo protest, but we can go on afterwards.
A second.
It's 7 a.m. on Agidigbo 88.7 FM.
All right, we're back.
It's Yahoo protest where people are getting rich on cryptocurrencies. They're giving one another money over and above the head of the people.
Millions of people that are protesting on the street.
It's why am I going to be part of that? And in any case, there is a strong ethnic flavor to this move. There's a very strong ethnic flavor to it. Some people who did not, their favorite did not win the election are determined to pull everything down, that we will pull everything down. And I'm like, if you want to pull everything down, start from home. Yes, start from home. Start pulling it down from home. And let everybody begin to do their homes. But no, because they have a target. And the target is just one person. Somehow believing if they could get that one person out, everything will be fine.
And that is Mr. President.
So let me even ask, how intelligent are you? If today you have mother of all protests and the man says, okay, I've had my time there. All right, let me just step aside. What then happens?
Is everything just going to
are
miraculously
you going to be fine then? Nigeria is now fine then. Everything is... Because the man is not your problem if you are being cerebral about it. You see, the problem is, go and get 10 times your favorite and put them in that office. It's not going to work. Where we should put our energies is in restructuring this country. So, and the moment you restructure Nigeria, you will be shocked. The Kenyans that you talked about, they even have a very nice structural setting. But there are people who are messing them up. Because as you are looking at Kenya for protests, their politicians are looking at Nigerian politicians,
for something
how
to go about things.
Something to fund their steez.
Okay. And so the main point I'm getting in all of this is the fact that protests right now is being fueled by some people with a personal interest, knowing what they want to gain from it.
They have personal interest, and they have a few, genuinely, hungry and angry people, and that is the fuel they are using. They know it. They are using, plain, genuinely, impoverished people in their numbers, to go out there, pull people out. And what they are hoping for is not even, they don't have, the thing they are hoping for is to be able to create enough chaos, so that some people will emerge from nowhere and say, okay, since everything is this bad, we will take charge in the interim. And they said that much from the immediately, the elections were over, they started talking about that. They started talking about that. So I don't know if and look, we've seen too many protests in this country to be fooled by any of these youngsters who believe they could pull wool over people's eyes.
So it's not as it used to be.
It's not. Why would you want to protest? And look, those days, even as much as I disliked the Adams Oshiomhole protest, you will see Adams Oshiomhole in front of his protest. You will see Beko Ransom Kuti. You will see Femi Falana there.
And then these are leaders.
Yes, now these are people you can say, okay, to a very large extent we can follow until they started calling protests and then pulling it, suspending protests, calling just like, and then so people got really dejected about it. The inside story of that calling it on and calling it off, they are in the best position to tell those stories during the Obasanjo regime. But Etai Sholari will go and protest, you see his face. Gani Fawemi will not be inside his chamber cooking anything. He will come out and say, this is my protest. And that's what we are used to. That's what we trust. This pattern of, just throwing flyers on the, on the social media every day and
to ginger people,
threatening fire and brimstone, having a long list of demands that I did not even plan with you. Nobody held a meeting with you. You are just coming from God knows where. Maybe you are even high on some of these cheap drugs.
Sometimes they are not even in Nigeria.
Nobody knows. And they will sit down maybe in Canada or in Finland and be throwing things here. And I'm supposed to say, because things are really tight, I will follow them. No. And I'm saying two things. Things are tight. People are entitled to protest. And so if it's me today and I decide, look, I have to, protest. And I get, people that we are talking to one another and we say, this is how we'll go about it. These are our demands and so on. Why? Fine. Which is why the NLC protest is always okay with me. I don't like the inner workings and so on, how they are going about it. But see, you see the protest, you understand what it's about.
It's organized.
So these people, I don't know where they are, whether they are performing seals or anything. I don't know who they are, but they are throwing stuff out there on the social media, and as a matter of fact, I believe that serious agencies should be in on these things.
Which one?
All the security agencies should be in on this thing. They should be finding out who are the people throwing all these things out.
On social media?
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you come out and you have a speaker and you're saying, we're going to protest, we need your support and so on, I see you, I don't have any business, with that. There is no... But somebody hiding somewhere, throwing flyers on the social media, it is sinister, because anybody could be doing that. He could be in the comfort of his home somewhere in
for
Europe,
whatever reason,
or in the United States, enjoying life, and then he's just rousing people here to go and do something as dangerous as asking the president of the Federal Republic to resign. I don't even know what the law says about that.
All right. That is, I think, all this still boils down to the fact that it is about what people are facing in the country. If the nation is great, if we are doing fine, there will be no cause for anyone to come out.
There's always cause for protests. The greatest countries in the world, you have protests going on there.
I mean, but
it's not about whether
people,
you are...
To instigate people to the point that they want to follow you.
Yeah, people will follow you always. Now, look, in certain countries of the world where they don't have even the kind of problems that we're having, people protest on animal rights.
Yes, sure.
People protest on, wildlife, on forestry, on people protest on. It doesn't really, matter. But we are really, really uptight. Things are terrible.
We are hungry.
So we deserve. If I see a band of protesters, I think they're entitled. But how do you do it without giving in to people who at the end of the day will become millionaires in dollars while you are just
due to the protest?
But they probably even hit some of you, and at the end of the day nobody is going to say, oh, that guy got hit by a canister of tear gas or got hit by a pellet.
Are we in any way talking about the NSAS protest, Maestro?
It's always, yes. That's the one that Tunde talked about now.
Yes.
That people cashed out heavily. And then, in any case, it's so interesting that the totality of NSAS became one man's benefit during the presidential elections. And he didn't even say one word. As the likes of Shore were saying this and that, and all these, guys were coming out, in super heat. You didn't see the man anywhere near there because he doesn't protest. He never ever protested in his life. You see, he's a very comfortable man.
Comfortable.
But at the end of the day, and that's where I got seriously disenchanted. They packaged the entire NSAS thing and handed it over to Mr. Peter Obi as his presidential gift run.
Something that started as a move to change something.
So why should I trust you again? What is the other game plan this time? What is your end game? Who are you going to give it to this time? And we need, to be conscious. As much as you want to be, critical about the administration in your country, I'm tired of going after people. I want us to talk about ideas. I want us to put all these youth energies and everything behind a push for restructuring the country. Then we now have a game plan, the end game, and everything is there. So we begin to pursue it. But they don't want that now. Because we genuinely want Nigeria to solve her problems. They have a different agenda. Unfortunately, the agenda they have splinters into different small groups. And that's why sometimes you hear people calling in and they are, talking funny. It's not because of anything, but because they're hurting.
Of course.
They're hurting that the man they wanted to become, the APC flag bearer did not become. Some of them, they are not over that. They are stuck there. The other one, so the person that they wanted to become president did not even make second position. What's my business if you were outrigged?
Outrigged?
It's none of my business. You all rig.
They all rigged.
Every last one of them. You see, the poor man is just shortchanging himself all the time. So you're going into this thing, and people like us who are the ones saying this is your electoral act, you will cry over it. Some of my listeners are listening again now. They know I said it ad nauseam on air that this electoral act that they were jumping for joy. I said, don't jump for joy. This thing is not good. I've read it and I read it all over again. INEC could switch. It had the powers to say, okay, we are going manual. And that's precisely what happened.
They can do that anytime and they
I
did
said,
it.
let's look at this thing. I said, okay, I'm not interested in this discussion again. And they were saying, no, go and get your this and that.
Let's use beavers.
Today, I'm the one who put the president in office. And they're as bitter as
Single-handedly.
that.
Single-handedly.
I just said, let there be light, and there was light. It's sad. But you could even accommodate all that. Going forward, in order to get our problems solved, at least to be on the right path to solving them. This is not the right path.
What is the right path?
The right path is to fight tooth and nail for a restructured country.
I think we're on the way to that already.
Hopefully. Okay, you have this local government autonomy ruling. I was happy.
Was?
Yeah. When it happened, I was quite happy.
How about now?
Well, it remains, but the point is, we're not there.
We're not there yet.
So, and still happy that the National Assembly is, I think they are fast-tracking, empowering INEC.
To be able to conduct the elections.
To be able to conduct the elections. Good. And then we have a lot of work to do still on local government process. Because I saw a lot of, negative stuff in the direction of the state governor yesterday on social media. Yeah, it was a poor outing.
We're still flying around.
Nobody is perfect. Okay, so maybe that was a wrong turn. But you see, what he was saying shouldn't be just tossed into the trash can. I mean, do you simply go into it without setting up a committee to kind of make
it's not even the only governor that set up a committee.
So everybody was just like, people are entitled to express their displeasure, and they. Yeah. But we got a lot of that flax from everywhere. But we still have to face what he's saying. Because, like I was telling you, one, there's a lot. Are the local governments going to be partakers in the payment of the loans taken by the state government?
Okay.
That's a huge one.
Wow.
Because maybe even whatever was coming to the local governments was what the lenders saw and said, okay, you get this monthly, so we can loan you this much, and we will be taking this much every month.
Are they supposed to, local government, are they supposed to contribute to that?
Well, the former format would allow the state governors to do stuff with the funds, and that's what was, what was. Now it has changed, so we have to talk about that. And by the time they start paying whatever portion, but it's going to even lead to serious. I don't know what it's going to lead to.
They are sharing 1.3. They shared, or maybe they would share 1.35 trillion naira for June. Federal, state, and local government.
So how much will come to a local government that you will require to pay back some loans it did not take under the new dispensation? But if, for instance, you're going to pay something, you look at your local government and say, okay, this was what's done here. This is the cost of what happened, the development that happened in this local government. So, is that what you're going to pay back? And what about the ones who didn't get such infrastructure or that kind of... So, we have to smoothen that out. And I think it's part of what the governor, likely was envisaging,
saying
in putting these things together.
Yes, so we need to do some things. We need to explain things to ourselves.
So I don't believe he qualified for 100% of the flags he collected.
I mean, it's still flying around.
I think he should have been far fewer than that. It's because people are angry. Don't I take some on the program? Sometimes when you make sense in a different way, that's not the way they want to hear it, and then they come after you, which is wrong, really. I think what we should do, most of the time, is to make sense of our own statements. If we are making sense of our own statements, then we are discussing intelligently. But if all you could do, all your capacity could drive you to the point of being abusive only or insinuating silly little stuff, then you are not part of the discussion.
Maestro, I think we're on the path to governors, and now talking about being able to determine what they will pay to as minimum wage to workers. Seems we're on the path to that right now. And as a result of that, we have a labor threatening a 30-day strike because of this. When we're back from this break, we'll discuss that. We'll be back.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
Láti dènà àrùn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru àti àrùn mìíràn, pàápàá nínú àwọn ọmọdé, fọ ọwọ́ rẹ pẹ̀lú ọṣẹ àtomi tó ń dà ṣooro. Ní pàtàkì jùlọ, tó o bá lo ilé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ tán lẹ́yìn tó o bá ti ṣàǹdí fọ́mọ tán kó o tó ṣoúnjẹ ọmọ rẹ tàbí kó o tó fún un lóúnjẹ. Àti pé o tí ọmọ rẹ bá ní àìsàn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru fún un ní oògùn oníwóró zinc lẹ́ẹ̀kan lójúmọ́ àti ORS ní wákàtí mẹ́rin tàbí kí ẹ máa fún un díẹ̀díẹ̀ nínú ife. Èyí á jẹ́ kọ́mọ rẹ lè ní ìdápadà omi ara àtokun. Bákan náà yọjú sílé iṣẹ́ ètò ìlera tó bá súnmọ́ ọ jùlọ láti gba ìtọ́jú fọ́mọ tó ní àìsàn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru.
Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkànṣe ARIN, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Guy, if I tell you see all this plenty airtime and data, where they take flex? Now dash glow dash me, you go believe.
dash get for this kind economy. Abeg.
Hey there now, as I buy my glow sim like this, spirit, I first collect 1,000 naira welcome bonus, Sarah. As I come recharge, bam, glow knock me 10 times airtime bonus. I also enjoy double data. Join.
Wait oh, you mean 1,000 naira welcome bonus?
Yes.
Plus 10 times airtime bonus?
Yes.
Plus double data again?
Yes.
For which universe now?
The glow break at the universe now. You want try?
Oh, no wonder boys dey flex anyhow on top phone 247 non-stop. I talk am.
My people, don't let grass grow under your leg. Go get your glow sim today.
Dial star 301 hash
To buy and enjoy 10 times airtime bonus plus up to double data. Unlimited.
Ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo.
Ọwọ́ èmi àti ẹ lọ̀rọ̀ wà láti dáàbò bo ara wa lọ́wọ́ àrùn kọ́lẹ́rà. Ẹ jẹ́ á ṣèmọ́tótó àyíká wa ká sì máa dáàbò bo oúnjẹ wa lọ́wọ́ kòkòrò àrùn. Ìkéde yìí wá láti iléeṣẹ́ rédíò Àgídìgbò 88.7 FM Ìbàdàn.
Ìmọ́tótó ilé, ìmọ́tótó oúnjẹ, ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo.
Akitibo 88.7 FM.
All right, you're welcome back. This is still the dailies, of course. Maestro, the labor union, they are threatening a 30-day strike, saying it seems the National Assembly, they are trying to talk about, because this is coming from Ajaero, saying that a joint committee of the Senate, the House of Rep, and the Judiciary, they are at a meeting. They have decided to remove Section 34 from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent list, so that the state governors can determine what to pay you. I mean, that is talking about the workers. And so that there will be no minimum wage again. You cannot decide what you earn. That is what Ajaero told the labor unions yesterday. And as a result of this, they are threatening to shut down the country for a month and protest against plans by the National Assembly to deregulate the national minimum wage. This is not what we've been talking about. Let governors negotiate. Let them tell us.
It's not good for labor leaders.
Why is it not good for labor leaders? Is it about labor leaders or labor union as a whole?
Leaders.
Wow.
Why did you think the Oni of Ife, ban all these associations and say, look, let's just sell in the markets. No more Baba Kinikon and Iya Kinikon. Because the excos are always enjoying. And this is what you see. NLC in, NLC out. We have to. That's why I was chuckling when you said it's because things are this bad that we're having protests. No, we've always had it. Because somebody, yes, even if it's not bad, a human being is entitled to protest. It's a natural right. And do you know what? Every day of our lives, we are protesting against one thing or the other. Every time you say no to somebody, maybe a friend,
protest.
Maybe a sibling, that's a protest. It's natural. So the point here is, when you go and look at the labor leadership, you see that by the time you rise up there and you have your own protests against government and so on, you leave the ranks of poor people.
I do not understand. What are they benefiting from? Is it breaking the bread over negotiation or what?
How do you leave the ranks of poor people, Wura? How do you leave the ranks of
poor
people?
I do not know. I'm still there.
So when you are no longer there, what does that imply? It means you have money. It's simple. You have money. You become one of the affluent ones and the influential ones. So the point here is they will fight that. I don't even mind they're fighting it if it makes sense, but it doesn't.
Okay.
Because that different 36 state governments. And they have different profiles. Some are going to be able to pay this. Some will not be able to pay. And so, if they remove it from the exclusive list and put it in the concurrent or wherever, residual or whatever it is.
Concurrent now.
What is your problem with that? You're still dealing with leadership. You're still at 36 centers and maybe 37 with the FCT.
You're still going to deal with the government,
so why should
the state government.
Why should that be a problem? And he knows. This is where I'm saying it's for their selfish benefit. He knows that whatever he comes up with, after this long thing with the federal government, they will now face the state governments one by one. What is our reality? Till this moment, not all state governments are paying 30. He's not fighting that now. Has he ever fought that?
Okay. According to him, he said in the Constitution, there is a provision for equal work for equal pay. If we go into job analysis and job evaluation, we may discover that a clerk here may be doing the same work as a clerk in Sokoto. So the so-called decentralization of wages to pay somebody here less than what the other person is receiving is against the concept of equity and equality before the law.
Well, he's speaking English. The law also allows the National Assembly to make laws. So what is he now fighting? If the process is due, if the process is legal, then what is he fighting? He says they are going to do so we don't even know, but he has inside information.
Yes, he said they were in a meeting.
If that's what they want to do, I think it's okay.
For for governors to be able to say, this is what we can afford to pay.
Because they are only legalizing what's been happening.
I mean,
and Ajaero knows it.
It has been like that.
It's always been like that.
Some are not even paying 33.
Most of the time, they won't even pay what you... In fact, all of the time. They won't pay what you agreed on. That's what we have.
It's a reality.
This is what obtains now. So this man is traveling away from reality that no way you won't make that law. How do you stop a National Assembly from making laws?
By protesting.
By protesting. So they have other reasons for locking down the country, for their intention, even if they could anyway, because it's a huge question mark on whether they could even, bring down the country to where they want to bring it down to or not.
So you're saying Ajaero is not fighting for the labor unions when he says, let us be able to decide how much we get paid.
I don't even know when labor leaders began fighting for labor people. I don't know.
Are they not supposed to?
Show me one instance where they don't fare better. Pascal Bafiyahu was in cahoots with the Sonny Abacha administration. Adem Soshiomole went on to become governor. In fact, by the time he finished his own, the Omar and everybody were throwing chairs to become the NLC president.
Because they know where they can go to from there.
So I don't know what people are talking about when they say they have been represented. And there are so many labor leaders who have become this or that around governors, around the federal government, after, each round of whatever it is that I experienced a huge one here. At this same secretariat, in front of the governor's lodge here. Massive. During the time of late Governor Lam Adesina, may God rest his soul. Massive labor protest here. It was all dedicated towards elections. So when we begin to say, this is how power behaves. This is how power behaves to the incumbent. Power also behaved to people who have held the office of governor in this state before too. So, is power yesterday, power today thing? We're simply talking about, our own perspectives. Because we've seen a lot. And then we try to bring those things that we've seen in our time as reporters, as correspondents, as news managers. We bring those things into the current situation to make a difference. I do not know when labor leaders began seriously representing labor. Don't you hear about all these foreign companies, how they treat Nigerians here? So why has it not changed?
But Mr. Ajaero says that the International Labour Organization recognizes a wage as a national law. It is not for the sub-nationals. Every country has their minimum wage and some states are paying higher than the basic minimum wage.
There's nothing
And
like
that is the position of
subnational.
it.
It's not being definitive when it says international, this and that. You know, what is the structure of governance in a place like the United States of America? What's the structure of governance? Every state operates like a country on its own. So you don't come and mess around with them with if it's the Brits, they have about four countries in one. And they operate seriously independently. So if he wants to begin to talk to us about what obtains internationally and so on, it should be, seriously definitive. In any case, there's no nation that we must essentially copy whatever they are doing. You look for what's best in the practices of a country that you admire their systems and take the best and leave the worst.
So will labor unions 30-day strike, will it be illegal or will it not be right when they come out to say, we do not want you to say governors should negotiate according to what they can afford?
No, you can say it's wrong.
Okay.
And they can say it's right. And everybody will be going on. The first thing is not to strike.
Okay.
The first thing, because you see, if you have a number of weapons, you start from the least to the, so people will be fearing, if you bring out another one, it's stronger. But always they just fall back on strike all the time. So much so that these people,
they also do negotiation.
There's a negotiation going on. You see, the point is this: you could say no, this is what we want. That's normal. And the government says this is where we are heading. And you get to a point where you say, okay, we have irreconcilable differences. Will you either go on strike or you float towards the legal way? That this is wrong. Since you are talking about legality, the court is the interpreter. So you go to the court to interpret that, look, they have contravened international law, they have done this and that. I don't get it. Where you know that you will go on strike, and make life even more difficult for the people you claim to be. And then at the end of the day, you guys are not poor by any means.
All right, then. It's about time we open the phone lines for people to join in the conversation in the studio right now. And of course, I'll roll out the phone lines. And also, please let us ensure that when we call in, we talk about the topics, we attack the topics, and not on any person at all. Let's listen to this.
Thank you for your attention. It's been lovely to have you keeping it locked on Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Now is the time to join in the conversation, to have the word, hear your voice, because we are the people's voice. Meanwhile, while you contribute to this program, kindly note that in accordance with broadcasting ethics, you are requested to keep your contributions modest, truthful, concise, and not offensive, inflammatory, or with tendencies to cause discomfort to anyone. Thank you. Now, let the conversation begin.
All right, 070410018887, 070410018887, or +234 704 states are now rushing to have their local government elections because of the local government financial autonomy thing. So that's what we've been having.
My mind also is that I think the federal government should give some space. Maybe the thing will resume after this month or something, so that people could prepare. And but again, our people are funny. You give them the grace, then we go to sleep.
All right. Hello. Good morning.
Hello, my sister. My name is Mr. Maestro.
Where are you calling from,
morning.
sir?
Good morning.
Calling from Calabar.
All right, sir. Your contribution.
Madam Wuraola Yusuff, thank you for your reading of the news this morning. Sama, in Nigeria, we are having a lot of problems, and people use that one to make money, according to Mr. Maestro. At least I was in this country in the early days when they are protesting. We know what they are protesting about. But like now, it's like maybe the president there, that's the president must leave. And if the president leave the stage right now, the president who becomes the president that will relieve him, what will he do different with what this man is doing? Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. And also, thank you for utilizing your time well. Tolulope says, on minimum wage, the best thing is to allow each state to negotiate on their own because the financial capacity of the states are not the same. And such, it will be disastrous to compel them to pay whatever the federal government agrees with the workers because the prompt and regular payment being witnessed in your state here. Yes, Tolulope I know. Moving on to another comment right here. Shola Donyaditsu says, Baba, tell them exactly how I feel. All these internet soldiers. Exalted Prince says, I love your analysis. God bless you so much. Shola Donyaditsu says, I want illusional ilk. And Bakri Ibrahim Oladile says, the system is a problem, not actually the person on the seat. If we create a good system, even a rude person will be guided by the system, and if he wants to prove stubborn, the system will take him out automatically. Olumide Olubenga says, Maestro, when are you starting your resource center, be it physical or online?
Morning, you. But sincerely, even Flemsy is in on this thing.
I know, right?
But we will get there. We're working at it.
All right then. Ayodele Olushola says, Makinde is riding on the docility of the Oyo State people. That is why he's talking anyhow on the last Supreme Court
we should not ever be referring, to the governor as talking anyhow. It's rude. It's wrong.
We're talking about the governor of the state.
And then when you want to talk about the governor, you can say governor, you can say Mr. That's how we do it on radio. When you get home or the beer palace, you can.
It said, Mr. Makinde said it. Governor Makinde said it openly that he doesn't believe in local government. I do not. I don't think I've seen that. If you can bring
even if he says so, it's why are we so irritated about other people's opinions? That's not democratic now, and yet you want democracy, and you cannot take other people's
freedom
opinions.
of speech.
Just disagree. Make your own statement. That's his own statement.
All right. Idris Adisa says it is clearer as Maestro opined, and the best name to call their protest is Yahoo Yahoo. People should have focus in life. Their protest is hatred originated, and people like us will continue campaigning for restructuring that can solve our problems and not pushing certain individual for us as saint. We are not there yet, but the president is giving us local government autonomy, proposing new constitution. I'm somehow lost. Okay, proposing new constitution with National Assembly. Let us support and stay focused on our agitation for total restructuring. It's quite lengthy, so I got lost in the middle of it. Hello, good morning. We lost our call. Please do well to call again so that we can.
I usually take 2 paragraphs of the long ones.
I mean, it was trying to make sense. So
just
I haven't captured. Raji Afi says the Tinubu on the issue of the local government election, the Tinubu administration is actively addressing various unpredictable occurrences that have been surfacing. Tinubu administration is demonstrating a proactive approach to problem solving and fostering a conducive environment for sustainable growth and development in various local government. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm Odebi Moruf. I'm calling from Ayeye. Good morning, my sister.
Good morning, sir. Your contribution, sir.
The protest being organized by Labour Congress is nothing to do with this country. They are selfish. You understand? Instead, they should focus on how to move the country forward. They are protesting for themselves, not for the others. What of those market people? What of those who are not working under government? What are they going to do for them? Look at the fuel now, increasing in fuel every day. They do nothing about it. They are protest on their own money. They are selfish. Let them focus on what will bring the country high. So thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Agidigbo.
Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. Stevenson Olusheyi says, good morning. Our government should have mercy on the masses. I can remember that when I came to this country. Which country? The minimum wage was 9.45 euro per hour. And government added 1 euro per hour to eat in 2024. They also added 1 euro per hour to eat in 2024, and it goes across both private and government parastatal. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello.
My name is I'm calling from Italy. Can you hear me? Hello.
Please, you can make it more. We are not really. We can't really hear you. Out loud. Hello.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I said I'm calling from Italy.
Yes, sir.
My name is Babatunde.
All right, so your contribution.
I would like to say a little prayer to Sir Maestro, because he has been contributing a lot to this program, and this program has become a program for me that I would not like to miss every morning. Sir Maestro, láṣẹ Èdùmàrè, ọpọlọ yóò ní jọba ta o. I enjoy all what you have said about regional system of government, because I'm also interested in regional system of government. We need to understand that Nigeria is comprises of many nations. So unlike what is happening in Kenya, I don't think it will ever happen in Nigeria, where we have different ethnicities, you know. So, and I would suggest if there will be a protest for regional system of government, somebody like me will even be at the forefront too, you know, unlike what Sir Maestro just said. That's my contribution. Thank you so much. Have a good morning.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. We sincerely appreciate that. Abdul Qadri says, people who want to embark on protest first need to identify our problems in the country so as to fight for the right cause. The Nigerian problem is beyond an individual. It's about the enabling structure that gives room for corruption. 0704 1001 887 or +234 704 7008873. And Byron Nana, you're welcome. And he says, some people talk about this restructuring of the country as if it is going to be achieved in the next snap of a finger. Even when it is obvious the people at the helms of affairs do not wish to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Based on the way the country is presently structured, it seems they have devised it as a diversionary tactics to mess up the argument whenever suggestions are made on how to move the country forward. Are you sure they are not touching it?
No,
with
people like this. People like this are the ones messing up.
How about local government autonomy?
Otherwise, intelligent discussions, because you are applying your energy to something that does not exist.
All right. Another comment from Kazim Olawale says, a labor protest is legitimate. They have the right to demand for their right. It is not labor that removes subsidy. The citizens should fight for themselves. Nobody said it isn't legitimate. And as we said, it will be right on one side, it may be wrong to another person on the other side. Let them go to court. Another comment right here from Imafo J. Peter says, federal government gives 20 trucks of rice to each state. That was yesterday. How many people were that reach? And the talks, I think we had that conversation yesterday. Ire Wale Onobanjo says, thank you, Maestro, for being firm with your opinion on the protest issue. I hope we get it right this time. Adeni Yewale says, our leaders should be realistic and objective when it comes to minimum wage to be given to the workers. I am not against protest provided it is channeled objectively. Hello, good morning. 07041001
It's even an insult to be saying, you know, all the efforts put behind restructuring advocacy to drive it to this point